Today, we decode the architecture of the Aquarius mind. We go beyond the alien labels to understand why the most visionary sign of the Zodiac is often the most isolated.
The frequency of the future. Stop calling Aquarius weird. Stop using the word eccentric as a polite way to say they don't fit in. The truth is much more haunting. They aren't weird. They are simply living in a timeline you haven't reached yet. While the world is playing checkers on a flat board, Aquarius is playing 5D chess with the fabric of the universe. If you see them standing alone at a party, or if you notice them retreating into a silence that feels like a wall of ice, don't mistake their solitude for loneliness. It's not that they can't find a crowd. It's that the crowd cannot keep up with their frequency. To an Aquarius, being understood by everyone is actually a red flag. It means they've become too common. They don't want to be liked for their mask. They want to be respected for the terrifying clarity of their vision. The strategic sanctuary of solitude. There is a fundamental law in the Aquarius universe. Authenticity is expensive, and most people are paying in fake, ruled by Uranus. The planet of lightning and sudden revolution, Aquarius carries a shock-wave frequency. Their brain functions like an open-source supercomputer, trying to run on a world filled with locked, outdated software. They don't choose to go against the grain just to be difficult. They do it because they cannot breathe in the stifling air of the way things have always been. For an Aquarius, fitting in feels like a soul-level downgrade. It's like trying to compress a galaxy into a shoebox. Their solitude is not a prison, it is a strategic sanctuary. They retreat because they need to hear their own genius without the static noise of societal expectations. In the quiet, they are downloading the blueprints for the next century. When they are alone, they are not missing out, they are leveling up. They understand that you cannot lead a revolution from the middle of the pack. To change the world, you must first be brave enough to stand outside of it. The burden of premature truth. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, watching a bridge collapse 10 miles ahead. You see it clearly. You see the structural failure. You see the danger. But when you run down to tell the people in the cars, they laugh at you. They call you crazy. They tell you to stop ruining their peaceful drive. That is the daily curse of being an Aquarius. They see the patterns, the glitches in the system, and the inevitable future long before the status quo even wakes up from its slumber. Their madness is actually premature truth. This creates a profound, invisible wound. It's the pain of being right too early. Because they see the truth so clearly, they often lose patience with the slow, repetitive dramas of human ego. This is why they seem cold. They aren't cold. They are just exhausted from explaining the obvious to people who are committed to their own blindness. They walk the lonely path because they have realized that trying to convince the world is a waste of energy that is better spent building the new world themselves. The water bearer's paradox. The symbol of Aquarius is the water bearer, a person pouring a jug of water into the world. But look closer. Aquarius is an air sign, not a water sign. They carry the water, but they do not drown in it. They love humanity with a fierce, divine passion, Yet they often struggle to love a single human in the messy, needy way that society demands. They are the architects of the collective, the curators of progress, but they guard their own personal space with the ferocity of a dragon. This is the lonely genius at work. They give everything to the future, but they keep their core for themselves. They are the divine outcasts. They accept the silence of today because they know their voice will be the echo of tomorrow. They don't need your validation because their validation comes from the stars, from the laws of logic, and from the inevitable march of time. If you can't meet them at their altitude, they won't come down to yours. They will simply wait for you to catch up. The sovereign choice. To the Aquarius watching this, your isolation is not a flaw, it is your power move. In a world that is obsessed with being liked, your willingness to be different is a superpower. Do not lower your vibration just so the crowd can feel comfortable. Do not dim your light just because others are too afraid to look at the sun. You were not meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be the lighthouse for the few who are brave enough to look up and follow the truth. The final verdict is simple. They didn't choose the lonely road because they were lost. They chose it because at the top of the mountain, there is only room for the one who dared to climb alone. Stand tall in your solitude. Your madness is the world's only hope. Are you ready to stop apologizing for your genius? Drop a Aquarius in the comments if you are swimming against the current. Subscribe to Jin's Cosmic as we continue to decode the sacred architecture of the soul.